In the first two issues, was that with Patricia Hibbler?
Yes, but can you do your page 132 to 144 first, and then I'll get the other information out there?
Okay, so our presentation would start on page 132, the packet. That's a use of the CSKT logo. And are they on here?
No, that's what's on the.
Okay, all right. So Aaron Mitchell, the executive director of the House of the Moon, is requesting use of the CSKT logo.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the use of our logo.
Motion by Ellie. Second by Mike. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so that was the one. What other one, Jen, did we have? Just that one and then the one from Patricia?
Yes, I just sent you guys the email, but I'll also bring it up on the screen.
Okay, so we have on the screen, hopefully here in a minute, we've got a request from Patricia Hibbler. And it's a resolution for the funding of No Kid Hungry. And it looks like it's in the amount of $8,900 for the No Kid Hungry Montana project.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Ellie.
I'd make the motion to approve the resolution that grants authority to have them apply for the Montana No Kid Hungry grant.
Got a motion by Ellie. Second by Mike. All those in favor? Opposed? Lynn, I didn't get your vote.
I support.
Unanimous, motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is enrollment, and it starts on page 119 of our packet. I see Lawrence is here. Are you still waiting for staff, Lawrence?
I guess one of the things that better inform the council that we talked with Jordan this morning and he made some changes. So maybe we better hold off on this until I get the grammatical and clerical errors out of there, because I haven't really got to look at it when he sent it back. And I was gonna have we have the resolution ready. We could adopt a resolution with the direction that all grammatical and typographical errors be corrected. But maybe it's just that better if we just hold off until next time, where we have a clean policy that you can review. And it'll give you also more time to review, because from the initial set that we provided. And I made some changes, and then Jordan called me up this morning and said that he had some concerns and issues on some of it. And we talked for about an hour going through it, went through it step by step, and we made some changes grammatically to make it flow a lot better and so that people could understand it. So those changes wouldn't be reflecting in what you have available. And so to make
Okay,
sure that we can provide it to you, I'll just hold off on the DNA.
Okay, thank you, Lawrence, but I think James has got a question. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, Madam Chair. Lawrence, I have kind of an off the subject question. Could you explain how the bands up in Canada do their enrollment process? I've always wanted to ask you that, and I've never had a chance to, but I'm just curious, what do they do up in BC with our sister Kootenai bands up there? What do they do how do they do their enrollment? Just curious.
Before 1980, it used to be where they just enrolled as the descendants were born. And even if they got married, if you recall, if a man married a non-Indian woman, that woman was eligible for enrollment. If an Indian woman married a non-Indian man, she was removed. That changed in the 80s. Now they go by the direct descendants of a tribal member that's enrolled, and they have to be Indian.
Okay. So do you have anything else then, Lawrence, that you were bringing to council today? I see nothing more in the packet.
No, there's nothing else for council's consideration.
Okay, so you'll just reschedule with Jen and bring the DNA policy
Yeah,
down.
and I apologize to the council. I thought we were all fixed, and then when you start looking at a policy, you start second guessing yourself and trying to make it and streamline it a little bit better, because we tend to use words that most common people won't be able to understand, especially when it comes to DNA. And we're trying to make it as simple and understanding as possible, so that when we do a review with a person that's requesting DNA, that they'll understand the process that we're going through. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, guys. Have a great afternoon.
Same with you. Enjoy the snow.
Thank you. See you later, Chastity. Okay, and next we have SQCC elders with the council, so we'll wait for them to all get on.
Go.
Get more comfortable.
I mean, nice snot rag.
Your audio's on, you know.
Hmm?
Can hear you.
We'll give it a few seconds. Staff is logging on. I don't see Tony yet. Please hold on. We're a little bit early here, so forgive me. We had a cancellation. Again, good afternoon, everybody. We're just waiting for Tony and we were a few minutes early starting, so bear with us.
There. Now they can hear you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
this is Cheney Bell. I don't think Tony is gonna be joining us this afternoon.
that's what I just understood through Sadie. So we're ready to start. First on the agenda was the recreation regulations with Tom McDonald and staff. So I'll let you begin.
I'll turn it over to Les Big Crane and Dan McClure, and Lester can talk a little bit about the closures and regs, and Dan can too. But just so you know, what we have now for draft proposed changes for both tribal members and non-members is out for public comment, and that'll essentially end at the end of the month. So we are gathering comment, quite a bit of comment right now on the fee increases. So there'll be a lot of comment in. So with that, I'll ask Lester to kind of review where we're at.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
As far as an update on what is happening, as Tom said, our proposed recreation regulation changes were out to public comment. That will last until December 23rd. And we have the different licensing fee increases are part of the proposal. There's the bird hunting and safe harbor marsh emergency regulations that were put in for being permanent, as are the bison range regulations. And the recreation regulations, we have the main ones are the proposed tribal member use only areas of Twin Lakes recreation area, the Hog Heaven Range and Chief Cliff area, which would be all tribal land from Highway 93 west, Highway 28 north, and Browns Road east, and from the reservation boundary south, being proposed as tribal member use only area. Same with Irvine area south of Highway 28 from Big Draw, be everything within the Irvine road system, tribal member use only area. And again, that's let's propose again being out for public comment. Sounds like Tom's heard more of the public comment so far than I've heard. I think that's the main parts of it. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Lester?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Bing.
Hey, Les, yeah, you're talking about sending that out for public comment. I have people asking me about, here, Betty, asking me about, the regulations and the prices that they have to pay this year. And I think a lot of them are kind of in the dark about everything that's what's going to happen, because especially the prices, of camping and the permit for recreation and stuff up here. So there's a lot of them out there that's in the dark. So I kind of think, it'd be good that we did get that out, and so everybody knows what's going to happen here, because they're asking me, and I just, telling me that about it, and it's a lot of them people aren't going to be probably going out for or buying a permit this year because there's going to be too much money for them. So I don't know. It's like I say, there's a lot of skepticism about what's going to happen with that, the prices and whatnot with their permits.
Yes, I believe that the tribal member regulations have been advertised in the Charcusta, and the non-member regs have been, or notice has been put in the Missoulian, I believe. And I think there's been press release given to all the local newspapers too, and radio, I think from Steph Gillen sent that out a week ago or so. And certainly they can, if anybody wants the text, the file, they can call me or email me, the same as I think I have Amanda Bordeaux listed on the press release along with Steph Gillen or Tom. And we also have copies of it here at the Division of Fish, Wildlife, Recreation, and Conservation here in Polson to hand out to people. And we can email them or mail them out, however they'd like it.
And can you tell us what the difference in the price is for the permit and the fishing, and just so people know if they haven't read it?
The camping stamp for 18 years and older for all categories of residents, reservation residents, Montana residents, out-of-state residents, increases from $20 to $100. Residents of the reservation increased annual conservation license from $20 to $40, and increased the disabled license from $17 to $37. The non-residents of the reservation increased annual conservation license for both age categories from $23 to $100. Increase of the 3-day conservation license from $19 to $80. Increase the 3-day combined conservation fishing license to $105, and increase the disabled license from $17 to $100. Non-residents of the state of Montana increase the annual conservation license for both age categories from $26 to $100. Increase the 3-day conservation license from $19 to $80. They increased the 1-day combined conservation license and fishing license to $80, and increased the 3-day conservation fishing license to $146. And they increased the disabled license from $17 to $100. That is all the fee increase proposed. Making sure I have my current one.
Thank you, Les. I know one of the things that I've heard already, they're complaining, of course, about the fee, but they also have to realize that ours is on a yearly as well. And these national parks, you drive into them, and they were talking about Glacier Park today, and they're going with the same ticketing they did last year. And I believe that was 50 or 75 a day, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm not sure on that.
It's just for going to the Sun Highway. $50.
Yeah, for one day. So I'm pretty sure we've got comments probably going to be coming back in on that on the increase, but does anybody else have any questions for Les or? Okay, I'll let you go ahead, Les. Have any other thing then, Les, or?
Oh, that was all the regulation changes and proposed changes that are out for public comment. Again, Tom can probably speak better on the process than I can, but it's out for public comment till December 23rd. And it then will be brought back into tribal council for final decision, hopefully. And then it would be sending those to the printer to get those regulation booklets printed out and have them ready by March 1st, first day of the new permit year.
It's Madam Vice Chair. Just to make it clear, the fishing licenses aren't being proposed to have any increases to them all. It's the base, it's the conservation license, or we call the trespass permit. That's where all the fee increases are concentrated on, and then the camping stamp. So those are all the proposals. So an example would be Fishing Flathead Lake that doesn't change at all as far as any proposals for the Flathead Lake only fishing. And the reason why you have a couple of these ones that say fishing is because it's a combination. It's just based on a prorated amount based on that gross increase for the yearly license from 20 to 100 or 23 to $100. So it's just prorated for those individual 1 day or 3 day or combination licenses. Most of the comment right now to date has been focused on the residents fee increase, doubling from 20 to 40, and then the camping stamp that residents might be involved in overnight camping. But again, part of the counterpoints have always been, just like you mentioned, Glacier Park, it costs this much to just go for a 7-day period or a 3-day period. They did change it, I think, the entry level from 7 days to 3 days for this upcoming season. So your visitation is even shorter for Glacier Park. And of course, that fee is only for a 1-day trip up to Pole Bridge. So the comparatives are still, quite in the ballpark. And a lot of people's comments, well, if it's that much, we probably will go somewhere else. So, it's the fees can be a tool to manage visitation levels and also derive revenue to manage the resources, provide information or revenues for new developments. And of course, the key thing that everybody's concerned about is appropriate law enforcement levels in the field. So we expected to get quite a bit of comment, and Steph did do a press release a week ago that has generated quite a bit of comment. And we can follow up if you'd like to resend that out and have another press release to let more people know on the proposals that are out there right now. There's virtually no comment on the Safe Harbor Marsh, emergency regulations, and of course, the special regulations for the Bison range. And the footnote would be for the Safe Harbor Marsh, that actually went to our Fish and Wildlife Advisory Board because it was bird hunting. So they endorsed that as a proposed regulation change to include Safe Harbor Marsh as a prohibitive bird hunting area.
So you're going to put that out there one more time, being that the 23rd is the deadline for public comment then, right, Tom?
I can ask Steph today to do that, get another press release out there. There was comment on descendants. Of course, people concerned about descendants and uses, the cost of their permit going up or camping license or camping stamp. So pretty much the comment is really localized to our people on the reservation. So, and again, you know, a lot of our places were we're seeing dramatic numbers of out-of-staters coming, say like Black Lake check station we had for the fire closure. Jim Adams and most of his contacts up at that site were super majority were out-of-state recreationists trying to come on the reservation to recreate. So, you know, the fee increases in regard to that should be a good tool to help manage that to a more of an appropriate level. So that's probably, and we won't get too much comment, of course, from out-of-staters on that fee increase because they're not getting a local paper. So they're at the full disclosure, you know, subject to the full regulation without really participation. But that's just the nature of that particular licensing.
I thank you, Tom. Are there any other questions for Tom and staff?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, Tom, just to clarify, question I get all the time is that will my non-member spouse have to pay the $100? You know, if I'm a tribal member, does she got to pay the $100 fee for this camping and things?
Well, you know, Bing, I'll let Dan answer that question. Dan always has a great answer for that one, citing the regulations very well. So we try to take into account tribal member spouses or spouses of tribal members and when they're in their camp. So I'll let Dan talk to that specifically.
Thank you. So Bing, the current regulation specifies that a non-tribal member spouse is only required to have the recreation or conservation permit and is allowed to camp with their tribal member spouse without the camping license. We haven't changed any of those regulations for that. We just basically increased the fee for others to utilize the property. So a non-member spouse currently under the current regulation is they don't need a camping stamp to camp with their tribal member spouse.
Okay, thank you, Dan. I've had that question asked to me quite a few times, you know, and I wasn't sure how to respond to it because there was, you know, different things that came up, and I just said, well, I said, let me check. I'll check it for you and whatnot. And it's that's why I was telling Lester, you know, if there was any way we could get that back out to the people again so they can read those regulations to know what's going on with them.
Yeah, being the that spouse though would be faced with a $20 increase in their conservation license. So it would go up to from $20 to $40, but they wouldn't have to have the $100 camping stamp.
Hey, thank you.
issues?
I mean, Madam Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
Yeah, I think the comment I have is, we have a right to manage our lands and charge what we need to allow the privilege of these folks to use our lands. And that's what it is. It's a privilege. It's not their right to have access to our lands. It's not their, we're giving them a privilege to use our lands. And if we went off the res, or if we went on private land, or, different places in Montana, they have no problem charging us to access those lands if it's not Aboriginal treaty activities. If you go to Washington or Idaho or any of those places and try to camp, they're going to charge you. And so I think, we are giving these folks the privilege to use our lands. And to do that, we have to pay for, folks in Dan's office with the game wardens and such. And I have no problem in the fees being raised, but, I appreciate the consideration of working with our families that have, spouses that are not enrolled here. I think that's something we need to work with, but, to put it bluntly, these people don't have a right to access these lands. It's a privilege. And that's the way I feel about it.
I have a question.
Thank you, James. Sadie, go ahead.
Do these comments have to be written and sent in? I'm just wondering because if elders have comments today, would you be able to take that note down and consider that their comment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What we don't have is because of COVID, we don't have a group gathering or a hearing at the end of the comment period like we normally would. Usually have low visitation of that anyway, but because of the COVID restrictions, we were trying to avoid that. And we expressly stated that in our announcement for taking public comment, but definitely oral comment is taken. We take comment over the phone. It can be privately, however someone wants to. And then we like to tally everything for council consideration. Usually on these big items like this, we try to summarize it in a statistical spreadsheet or something that's easy to see, what's going on and hit the main issues that people are commenting on, so council can modify or approve as is, or however they want to carry forward the additional regulations for next year.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are the rules and regulations going to be sent all out to the tribal members, or do they just have to request them?
Well, the entire regulations are annual, so our entire rule books are open for reapproval each year. So all of the rules that are in effect today or have to be renewed, and then any proposed changes. So what we try to do is put out these proposed changes in the press releases so that people can see it that way, or we can email it to them, or just go over the phone with them, or however it might be. But depending on the details, we didn't put an example. We didn't put all the 14 specific bison range rules in the press release because we've been operating basically all year with that. And those are the previous regulations that the Fish and Wildlife Service had at the bison range that we thought were worthy of carrying forward. So that's not in a press release.
Is that press release? Is that on the tribal website?
I could check with Steph Gillen, send it out to her entire distribution list for newspapers and news media outlets. And then it's up to them to whether they want to carry it forward. So it's sent out to everybody, whether or not they pick up on it and print it. We don't do a specific ad other than the legal notice that we're required to under Tribal Administrative Procedures Ordinance and the scoping period. So we don't do a huge ad to pay in a newspaper. We try to rely on the newspaper reporters to provide that.
Could you send a copy directly to Sadie and then she could distribute it to the elders, please?
I think Lester sent something down to the elders this morning. But we'll double check. We'll do that for sure if it has to happen.
It was sent to Tony and Thompson. I'll make sure I send you one, Sadie. I can do that right now.
Just saw it, Lester. Thank you.
Lester?
Yes.
Shirley?
Could you please send me one too?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments or issues for Tom or his staff? Doesn't look like it, Tom or Les. Dan?
Madam Vice Chair, this part of the tool to manage public use on our tribal property, but then we also have the proposals for increased enforcement and a few other items that we're still carrying forward. Those items were roving gate guards, et cetera. And, Dan can describe some of that if the elders are interested in that too.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I'm sorry, I was answering another question on the phone. I didn't hear the question.
Go ahead, Tom. You can fill him in.
Yeah, Dan, could you describe the proposals we've had for increased law enforcement and gates, roving gate guards, increased game wardens, et cetera, that administrative part?
So currently, as I said last council meeting, I'm working on a couple proposals for added staffing. One proposal is 10 additional wardens, which would increase patrols on the ground, extra guy in each area, and then also 4 guys to the lake and river. And I just say guys as a general term, guys or gals, whoever puts in for those jobs. And the other proposal I'm currently working on is a few less wardens with more of a compliance type officer staff. So a non-law enforcement staff that would be a lot like the gate guards that we had during the COVID closure, where they would be in a self-contained unit, say like a Sprinter van or something like that, where they can move from one place to the next and still have a bathroom and ability to hide from the rain or whatever, what have you. And then they would park, say, for example, at McDonald Lake and check for compliance, just as the gate guards did before. These folks would then be random. They wouldn't be stuck in one spot all summer long. They could move from McDonald Lake one day or half a day to, say, Buffalo Bridge for the remainder of that day or another day. So they would be random. Doing something like that would then allow us not to have to patrol those areas and then focus on other areas that we might not have got to in our current staffing. So working on a couple different proposals. I'm trying to keep it somewhat simple and maybe just two choices kind of a thing. My object is to get the most coverage possible. Once I work all that out, my plan was to then forward those on to the culture committees for their review, to see what they think of that, and then also get with Mr. Enos on, what it's going to cost, because that changes every day. Right now, it's just difficult to even get trucks, as it used to be super easy in the past. So I'm working on putting all that together. So then there's all the questions could be asked at once and choices could be made. And I'm currently doing that now.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Bean.
Dan, when you're talking about the toilets and things, is there going to be any new toilets be putting in some of these campgrounds this year?
I would turn that question over to you, Lester. That's more at his realm.
What was the question, Bing?
I asked if there's going to be any new toilets put up in the rest of these campgrounds this coming spring.
We didn't have anything specific lined out, but that is something as part of the overall action with the campgrounds and the proposed warden increase is that we do have would also be there's a need for increase in facilities and staffing to manage these areas, and we can bring that forward to tribal council. The last estimates we had for vault toilets out there were about $15,000 a piece. And there are some out there that need to be replaced for sure. I think they've been here since about the 70s, and there's upgraded and better quality ones that are out there that are being produced. And we can certainly bring that forward to council. An issue we are also having a hard time with is being able to service them and finding vendors that are available, willing and available, has been kind of a difficult task. So we'll be looking into that too. And also looking into this spring, going out and just doing a little bit of maintenance and improvements on the existing campgrounds to clean them up and see if there is a potential to increase the sites out there, the number of sites in certain areas. And we can certainly do some picnic tables and fire rings if needed. But the high cost is the vault toilets.
Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Tom or Lester or anybody, are you going to be adding to the regs in the coming year for the Lower Flathead Cultural Protected Waterway?
That's a good question. sorry, Madam Chair, Tom, until the plan is drafted, we would be, the changes wouldn't be there other than making it more exclusive use areas, like the little money area. But right now, without the revised plan in place or adopted, we'd be jumping the gun on it.
Okay, are there any other questions? Comments?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go
and
ahead,
it's-
Mary Jane.
It's back to the camp areas and the toilet facilities. Now that we're having, we'll probably kind of manage the number of people going to these campsites, but what I was wondering, because the toilets were like really bad. So I'm wondering, when he was talking about maintenance, was he talking about the maintenance of each toilet, or because people were just making messes in there, then they're going around on the outside. So I'm wondering, are they going to be taking care of the actual toilet, the cleaning of it or whatever? The maintenance, is that what he's talking about?
Mary Jane, the maintenance of it as including in both. So we were short-staffed this last year. We're still going to be advertising for some more technicians to be out there in the field to be able to get to all the recreation sites. We do have about over 80 recreation sites that are under our wildland recreation program. And so we do have some vacancies that we'll be advertising to try and fill the seasonal positions and to be able to get out there to the sites on. We try and hit at least our sites at least twice a week. We don't have the manpower, and because we have so many of them, to be able to get out there every day. But we try and do our maintenance on them on Mondays and Thursdays, the beginning of the week, after the weekend, and before the weekend. The vendor problem that we have is septic pumping of the toilet. So we're gonna have to just rethink how we're doing it and what we're doing, and being able to get somebody out there to do that. And that was something that we weren't able to do this year, but we're going to keep trying to get a solution to that and to have those pumped out. We usually have them pumped out once a year or twice if it's a high use area. And we'll be working on that this winter and the spring.
I was trying to talk and I still have it on mute. But also, I noticed that Twin Lakes for a long time, like years, that the water along the shore always has a lot of fishing line in it, stuck to the different, like the logs and stuff. So I was wondering if that would be part of the maintenance too. It's just like, I never let my little grandkids go in there because of so much fishing line. It's fine, like to swim off deeper, but right along the sides where people fish. Just too many people. So I don't know, I thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, I can have our staff take a look at that and see what they can do when we get to a low point of the water levels out there. But we'll certainly look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Les. Did you have something, Vi?
Yeah, I did. Wanted to ask if there's some way that they can post signs about people's garbage. You know, those signs that they used to have long time ago. You pack it in, you pack it out. Sometimes, well, I haven't been up in the woods for some time, but you know how careless people can be. But I would like to see some of those signs back up again so people will be, you know, clean up after themselves and pack their garbage out, you know, and not leave it for it to be scattered all over by the animals. So that's one thing that, and you know, another comment I wanted to make was on the fee increases. When was the last time that it was ever changed? Has it been this way for quite some time? You know, I hope people don't grumble too much about it, but you know, the tribe has to be, you know, take care of every piece of land we have out there, and I hope people out there will understand that we're just trying to protect what we have and you know, keep it as clean as we can and keep it for our use, you know, keep it up for our use and not be trampled on and yeah, I just hope people out there will understand. But that was a question that I had was has it ever been changed? You know, this is probably an increase that's been way overdue, I think.
Dan, I think you had your hand up once, and I'm not sure if Tom wanted to respond as well.
In response to the signage, we post signs all the time and people just tear them down, but we continue to put them up. We don't know who tears them down, but we'll put them up one day, go up the next day and patrol, and they'll be laying on the ground. So we end up picking them up and putting up more signs. So the more permanent signs that we have up for like entry to the property, announcing that they have to have a permit. A lot of times we'll find those torn out of the ground or shot up, things like that. So the signage thing is always an ongoing battle, but we will continue to post things. And actually I did see some of those pack it in, pack it out signs that we can take out of retirement, I'm sure. But I was just addressing that signage issue.
Yes, Madam Chair, the fee schedule for non-member use usually has an increase every 2 years. So we've built that into the program to identify items that are on a rotational basis, or we do fee schedule surveys around the country, what other tribes are charging, what the regional prices are. We do that also for Blue Bay Campground on a separate fee schedule, but a fee increase to the magnitude of this scale has been quite some time since we've had one this large as a proposal. So yes, there has been a couple years ago, we had a pretty significant fee increase that council enacted, but not to this level. So the issue of this migration of folks coming here in 2020 and this year is really catapulted this to this level as far as the sheer number of people coming here and moving to Western Montana and visitation of Western Montana. So it's a combination of multiple needs that the proposal is trying to hit as far as the fee schedules. Some areas that are separate from that, these closures are simply how do we provide for our own people in a limited space and still try to share with the rest of the public. And so at some time, it's unavoidable. You really have to say there's not enough room here for the public at large to be able to be on the landscape. We're going to cause too much environmental impact and any impact to our own membership as far as their solitude and subsistence uses, et cetera. So couple of different things it's trying to hit. But yes, we do fee schedules adjustments every 2 years at a minimum.
Could I make a comment or suggestions or something?
Go ahead, Shirley.
You were just mentioning that we want to limit the use of our lands by non-tribal members, specifically tourists. That's my thought anyway. But I had the thought that it might be a good idea to limit the number of people that go to one place every night or every weekend or something like that, like set a certain amount of campgrounds for the non-tribal members or the tourists at every campground. Maybe that could happen this year, this coming year, or maybe you would have to work on that and spruce that thought up. But maybe that would help give some people chance to camp or whatever, but it will also free up space for our people. Some people were mentioning to me that over by the river was one of their favorite camping spots. And when they went there to camp, there was no room to camp there because there was too many campers and stuff. So maybe if you could just reduce the amount of people that could camp there at one time. So that's my thought about that. I really think it would be a good thing for our people to know that we're trying to accommodate them as much as we are anybody else. And another thing that I was thinking about was the tourism. I think, we're opening up more and more tourism to tourists and stuff when we're really wanting to cut down on the number of people who come here. Maybe not so much, but more than usual. We try to rely on the money they spend for our use here, but at what cost? What is that costing our landscape? What is that costing the people? And if you guys have any questions about those comments, let me know. I'll try to explain it better. So I don't want to cut off everybody entirely, but just to keep it a little lower so there will be more room for our people. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley.
Una.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
just a part of the conversation that I've had with internally in our department and with some tribal members and tribal elders is that we've that the land has always been very important to our tribal people, and It's not like I'm telling anybody new, and definitely not telling the elders anything new, because they're the ones who I've heard that from, that the land is part of who we are. So to conduct our culture, our religion, our lifestyle, our foods, our medicines, are all come from the land. So we want to, again, be able to have a place that provides those things for us out there. And again, from Aboriginal territory and to the tribal, to the reservation, to tribal land on what we have. And even that is being, getting a lot of pressure on it. So where part of this whole process is addressing those issues that we are being crowded out of our own land and what we can do and where we can do it. And so we want to make sure that doing the best that we can, that we do have these things available. I always have in my mind something from a report that was done with the Forest Service and the tribe, talking to our tribal members and elders about what they do in Aboriginal territory and on Forest Service land. Where do they go and what do they do out there? Camping, picnicking, fishing, hunting, just getting solitude and going back to the places that we've always gone. That is something that's been a part of our culture, that and each of our tribes have those places locally and throughout the land on where we do those things. And we want to continue to do that and be able to have that available for us to carry on our ways, our cultural ways. So when they talked about those deals like we do, the hunting, fishing, picnicking, berry picking, and camping, that they considered that, our tribal members considered that a cultural use of the land and not recreation. They said recreation was a Suyapi term that that has its own kind of specific meaning, and that it's a cultural use of the land that we need and we would like to have and continue that on. So that is something that always is in my mind when we do things on the reservation or off the reservation, that we need to have a place to go to do these things, to carry on our lifestyle, can carry on our ways. And that I think this is all part of it. Part of this process is that if we need to do what we have to do to try and make sure that continues, then this is just a step we have to take. So along that line of thinking, just want to pass along to the tribal council and to our elders that the Mission Mountains Tribal Wilderness 2022 will be the 40th year since the management plan was written and established. So we're looking forward to having some celebration this year. We usually do it right around, the date is June 15th. So we usually try and do something right around that time and have a celebration. So keep that in mind, and we're certainly open to suggestions and on what you would like to do, and we'll be talking to and making requests for your time to speak and help us celebrate that. Thank you.
Could I add a little more onto my big speech? Another place that was mentioned to me a lot was Blue Bay. When people try to go there for a weekend or something, and there's more tourists there than our people, and they don't like to see that. They think that's too much, and that's why I brought about I mentioned that maybe you could limit the places that they could camp, and limit the amount of time they could spend there. Because our people, they go there a lot. They depend on going there for their kids to swim, and so they could have a break from whatever. So, so that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Shirley. Did you have something, Stephen?
Yeah, I wanted to say a lot of changes in our world, today with everything, and we try to keep tourists out of here. And I drive around quite a bit during the spring, summer, fall time, and I see a lot of things that's wrong. And the thing is about, these people that bring dogs in here, that really makes me mad, to train their dogs here. Sometimes they lose one, and I know they're probably expensive dogs, but why is it for the money? And I see them down at Connie's. I eat there every morning, and they bring in a bunch of dogs, And the other thing is the hunting of the pheasants. There's not very many pheasants left, Chinks, we used to call them chinks. I remember my uncle used to say, take the 22 and go get some chinks. We'll eat that for supper, We go out there and shoot some, or even ducks. Now they use it for a sport, I don't think anybody eats a duck or a chink, They just to go out there and just shoot them down, And they're getting lesser and lesser and lesser. When are we going to stop, There's a lot of things, that's wrong here, The rivers, the wheelers, camping, who gets all these? The money pays. Like here at the lake up here, Swartz Lake. And I go up there once in a while, and there's horses, there's people, they're getting married up there, or probably getting a divorce, I don't know. There's just people up there. There's so many people. I don't care how rough that road is. They still make it up there, and things like that, and they think that's people come up here, they get lost, they stop at my place, they want to know where it is, But here we are, we should be talking about things like doctor. I just come out of the hospital, and they should be talking about nurses, taking care of nurses, people. They should be going out there and helping people, Some people can't make it to the doctor. They don't have no cars. They got no nothing, And I've been pretty sick. I thought this was the end, And I think they sent nurses here to help me out, Every day they come out and help me out. But to me, something has to happen like that before you realize, that we need help. The elders need help, we always, the council always says respect the elders. But I don't know about that, you know, it seems like it, when you want to get help, you go down there, they give you a run around and you end back up the same place at the council. You know, in their hearts, they should be happy to help, yeah. You know, to me, I'm getting older, I know it. And things like this, you know, like what we're talking about. The elders should come and talk about their problems, you know, right here, like Shirley and all those guys, you know, and the rest of the elders, you know. You know, it's just, it's different today, you know. And I'd like to see the councilman light up and say, hey, let's help the elders. I remember years ago when I used to help the elders, boy, I'd feel good, you know. Oh, man, you know, 16 days, 11 days when I ended up in the hospital, I didn't know how sick I was, you know. Juanita threw me in there, you know. She ran out to hospital and I was right behind her, but I couldn't catch her. Yeah, and then I stayed there 11 days. And I thought to myself, you do a lot of thinking in there. And I said, the council should be helping out. They should be going out there helping us out, you know. Whatever we need, you know, the elders. And I was just reading the minutes a little while ago where somebody needed a stove, turn on their lights, turn on this. Should do it, you know. I don't care how much money they make, you know. We make too much money, so they don't help us out. I was reading about wood, oil, helping people out, you know. They say this is one of the rich tribes, this Flathead. But we're talking about this people coming in, you know. So in a little while, I got to go see my doctor again and see if I'm still alive or not, you know. And to me, he's laying in there, you know. I felt what my dad, my mom, all the elders that come through and died there, you know. I felt it, you know. And I said, by gosh, you'll be stuck in a hospital. They can't go nowhere. You're too sick to go anywhere. Then you come back out and I'm stuck here in my house for 6 days, you know. You know, it's just terrible. I mean, you know, I was talking to Juanita, I said, oh, you're going to get better. I said, I don't think so. You're going to get better. And I was dancing around here, you know. I thought about the things I used to do, powwows, eat a lot of fried bread, wieners and all that, you know. I wish I had that, you know. But your councilman got to wake up, help the people out, you know, help them out. God, you know, you guys got the power, you know. It's supposed to be our chiefs. Listen to the elders, what they need. That's what I think. I'm probably wrong all the time, you know. Listen to the elders. Have meetings just for the elders. Tell them to come on in and see what you guys need, you know. I am talking from my heart today. I'm not well yet, but that's the way I feel, you know. We used to eat ducks. We used to eat chinks. White people come from Carolina just to shoot them, you know. Gee, you go to the dump over in Charlotte, you see all the hides in there, deer hides and whatever, you know. Indian people, you're not supposed to do that. So anyway, I got to go, and I didn't mean to get you off track, and that we should be listening. When they say, well, Thursdays, we'd like to have the elders. And I said, good. It's just for us elders. The council should all be there to listen to us, you know. Go back to 5 days a week working, you know. You work 4 days and you get a day off. Nobody around to help you, you know. That Ronan, I think that saved me. When I got sick on that Thursday, I went in the back and the doctor saw me, you know. Took me in and boy, they flushed me out and everything, you know. That's what we need, you know. I remember a long time ago when you got sick, Dr. Matthews, Dr. Brooks, you could go see them 2, 3 in the morning. They'd take care of you. Now they're all closed. You know. I got to go now. I'm sorry. So I'm feeling sorry for myself. Yes. I could laugh about it anyway. Them.
Have a good visit with your doctor, Stephen.
Oh, no, them, surely.
Is there anybody else who has any comments, or if not, we can go on to the new directors? Okay, so we are going to let them introduce themselves. We got the Director of Administration and the Director of Tribal Member Services, the Director of Tribal Resource Management, and the Director of Financial Management. So Lisa, if you want to start first and introduce yourself and what your responsibilities are.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Shores. I'm the Director of Administration. My grandparents are Kenneth and Berland and Marion Minesinger Berland, and also Sydney Shores and Rose Shores. My parents are Nathan Shores and Andrea Berland Thomas Shores. I've been working for the tribe for about 28 years, and I have about 30 years of experience in all of the programs that I oversee. I oversee records management, facilities and maintenance, the information and technology department, and also personnel. The roles and responsibilities, besides overseeing those, is trying to address some of the office needs. We have a lot of new employees working for the tribe, and we don't have a whole lot of space. Updating the policies and procedures in all of the departments, making sure that there's a clear role that's defined for what the departments do and how they assist the staff within the tribe and also the public when needed. I also do some oversight of the new facilities and any remodels that are coming down, like with Ronan Health Center, Water Compact buildings, Three Chiefs facilities, any of the remodels, and kind of just started to incorporate the door monitors and security into some of the plans. I'm hoping to implement some of the suggestions that were brought to council as far as being employed for a day or half a day or things like that through that program to kind of pilot that and see how that works. Also try to do some apprenticeship programs through the maintenance program to see if we can get some people trained for positions in that area as well. For IT, we're beginning to get more sustainable and long-term planning. We're trying to standardize things so that way when someone comes on board, we automatically know what they need and we can have that equipment available for maintenance as well, for sizing, making sure that we have the proper desk, chairs, things like that. With the growth that we're having, we kind of need to start thinking about making sure that we're not having these huge desks for small areas and make sure that we have, you know, our office needs are met with an appropriate work area so that we can make sure that everyone has a place to work. Also, we have this on-base system that's coming on board where council is actually using it in accounting. We're bringing personnel on board, and depending on how well that goes, we might also bring records management into that so we can have a centralized location for all of our records. That would be manuals, any kind of training documents, any resource that the tribe you would want to pull, we would have one central location to gather that, because right now you kind of have to go to each program to get that information. We're implementing the new pay plan that's under 69D with a pay scale. With that, we're trying to get more standardized with our PDs. We have about 1,300 different positions and about a little over 1,200 individual position descriptions. So we're going to try to standardize that a little better so that people can cross-train between departments and be able to not have such a difficult transition. And with that, also provide training. If we standardize, we'll be able to provide better training to the staff so that they can know what they're supposed to do in their department and also have the tools that they need to be successful. We're also going to try to update the evaluation process so that it's more performance-based instead of, it kind of seems a little perceptional right now versus these are your tasks, this is how successful you're doing, you're hitting those benchmarks kind of things. And that's pretty much an overall view of what we're doing.
Question, Lisa?
All right. If you don't want to, that's fine.
I couldn't hear who that was.
Hold on.
If not, we can go ahead and go to Patricia,
Okay.
our Director of Tribal Member Services.
Madam Vice Chair,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah. I just wanted to say hello to Lisa and that Culture Committee staff, Tony couldn't do it. He had a conflict, but others of us had a conversation this morning with Ryan Rushi and Rick Enius, and they encouraged us to kind of get in touch with you and just make sure you were aware of some of the Culture Committee's needs in the areas that you're taking care of. So we just look forward to being in touch sometime soon. That's all.
Sounds great, thank you.
Thank you, Thompson. Go ahead, Lisa. Are you
I
done?
was just telling him thank you. That's all, I'm done.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go with Patricia.
Thank you. My name's Patricia Hibbler. I'm the Director of Tribal Member Services. My grandmother is Ruby McLeod Barber, and my grandfather is the late Emmanuel Barber. My mom is Sherry Barber Sadler, which some of you may have known. She was the first director of the Missoula Indian Center, which I think it's been renamed as the All Tribe Center or something to that effect. She also was a long-term mental health specialist for tribal health here before she passed away. I have been gone for 30 years in Phoenix. I was 10 years at Arizona State University as assistant director for the Arizona Prevention Resource Center. and then 17 years as the Chief Executive Officer for the Phoenix Indian Center. In both of those positions, I think they really kind of prepared me well for what I'm doing here with the tribe. And that is really overseeing broad-based direct services for individuals. Of course, in Phoenix, I was overseeing them for the urban living American Indian population. Here, certainly it's for our tribal members and descendants. The departments that I have oversight of is DHRD, the Tribal Health Department, Enrollment, the Defender's Office, Law and Order, Early Childhood Education, and Tribal Education. So it's a big lift. It's 7 different departments, but all of them provide direct service to our membership. And many of them are servicing the same client and the same people. So my goal is really to do a deep assessment of them and begin to look about how we can coordinate services better from the client perspective. Right now, I find that people have to go to DHRD for one thing and maybe have to talk to 3 or 4 people. Then they have to go to tribal health for other issues and talk to another 3 or 4 people. We're really going to look at coordinating those services much better through what I call a navigation. A person who does that navigating and gets them access to the services that they need. I certainly appreciate the earlier comments, because one of the things that I've been tasked by council and I've been really doing some assessment and looking into is our elderly services and how can we better service our elders and get them what they need to live the way that they should be. So that's one of the things that I'm really doing some in-depth look at right now. I really lead from data and accountability. So I'm really kind of challenging the departments I work with to give me some data. Let me know what kind of data they're collecting, doing some assessment of that so we can really look at what level of service they're providing, where are the gaps, and how can we begin to fill those gaps for our tribal membership. So that in a nutshell is a little about me and my philosophy within this role that I have within the tribe. So it is nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Any comments or questions? I can't see the other page, so you'll have to speak up. Okay, thank you, Patricia. We'll go on to Clayton Matt, Director of the Tribal Resource Management.
Yeah, good to see you all. I know it's difficult to have these meetings and be talking to a computer all the time or a computer screen, but good to see you all. I know most of you, I've talked to most of you over the years, and while the agenda item said to introduce the new directors, on one hand, I'm in a slightly new position, but I've been doing working in the tribal administration here for 10 years. And in this last year, the tribal council now has elected to reorganize. And so while I had also a number of the departments for a number of years that Patricia and others have picked up now, I have retained and work with the resource departments and both culture committees. So I work with the Tribal Land Office, the Natural Resource Department, the Forestry Department, and both culture committees. So which has been good and will continue to do so. Of course, you know, natural resources, some of the big items with natural resources is we're in the process of taking over the Bison range fully. Will happen this year, this coming year. We're shifting in the area of water rights from negotiations and settlement to implementation of a new water rights plan for the reservation, which is currently a big topic of discussion. And a number of our resource departments are involved in discussions about that tribal council is having about access to tribal lands, how we manage access to tribal lands and waterways into the future, a lot of which is being driven by comments that they're receiving from the community, the public, and the tribal elders. So continue to listen to your input and look forward to that. And I've worked with Tony over the years and will continue to do so as long as I'm in this position, and Vernon. So keep it brief. That's what I'm involved in. Those are the departments I'm working with. Thank you. Good to see you all.
Thank you, Clayton. Any questions for Clayton or issues? Okay, if not, we'll go on to Greg Spar, who is our Director of Financial Management. Good afternoon, Greg.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Madam Vice Chairman. It's nice to see all your faces, and thank you for having me. I am the Director of Financial Management, and I bring to the organization a lifetime of financial management experience for private wealth management clients where I served as an advisor and a fiduciary. I previously held the role as the Cash Flow and Investments Office Manager and worked closely with the Water Compact implementation, finance decision-making, and the settlement discussions with BPA. I oversee 5 areas within the organization, and many of them overlap and touch other departments. I work with the IIM group, which has accounts for minors and providing funds for when minors reach their milestone ages or when new members are registered and they open up new accounts at the time of their birth. I oversee the Federal Contracts and Grants group. And as you know, much of the funding that the organization receives is from federal resources, and the Contracts and Grants group make sure that we're following any constraints and that we're in compliance with any of the details that accompany those funds, so that if we're audited or examined, that we're using those funds in alignment with what they were intended. I oversee the Economic Development group, and this group has primarily been concerned over the last 18 to 20 months working with members and providing some of the needed, what I would call member business owner assistance. But the major task is really to vet economic opportunities that come to the organization and make sure that they enrich business opportunities on the reservation and develop ongoing sources of income for the tribal resources for membership itself. I oversee the accounting, budget, and audit and payroll departments, which really make sure that we're staying on track, that we're accounting for every penny that comes in and flows out of the organization, that we set budgets and stick to them so that we're spending appropriately, and that we're self-auditing and making sure that on an annual basis we comply with the details of a governmental organization, that we're handling our assets in a fiduciary way, and to make sure members and employees are paid on time. And lastly, I cover the property and supply area, and the group down in Kicking Horse ensures that all of our departments have access to the necessary equipment and supplies that they need to meet their needs. I appreciate you having me on today. Thank you.
Any questions for Greg? Okay. All right, thank you, Greg. Would like to have the 4 of you participate in my district meeting down in Dixon. We'll probably have a link with Zoom, but that would be the 29th at 6 o'clock. So I'll be getting a hold of you guys as well. If you can maybe write it down. We'll be at our new building. It's new to us anyway. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Greg, thank you. And I guess we can, with no questions, we can go ahead and go on to Renee with personnel.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
I was asked to explain the new employee orientation to the council and to the elders committee. When we do have a new employee that's hired from a job advertisement, that employee spends about a half an hour to 45 minutes with the personnel specialist employee benefits position, which is Evelyn Charlo. And they complete all the paperwork to get them onto the payroll system. We ensure that they receive a copy of the entire personnel rules and regulations, Ordinance 69D, have them complete a conflict of interest form, sign them up for the various benefits programs. We have health insurance, life insurance, and retirement. We have them sign a testing designated position acknowledgement form if they are in a position that is tested under the random provisions of the drug and alcohol program. And we also conduct all the background informations on background investigations on new employees that require those. The items that we discussed with the employee, we talk about direct deposit, workers' compensation. We give them a copy of the safety manual. We explain what their probationary period is. We explain that we have paid time off accrual. We do have the capability of withholding state income tax from payroll, so we explain that to the employee. And then we explain to them the various policies that we have in place regarding the drug and alcohol policy, the employee assistance program, physical fitness leave. We also provide the employee a copy of their position description, explain the long-term disability program to them, the cafeteria plan where they can contribute money into a medical spending account or a dependent account. And we also have them fill out the rave alert form so that they're on the group notice of any rave alerts that go out for the tribe. We currently don't have any cultural aspect included in our orientation process. And I know one of the other questions that was asked was if we provide any training. Our employee assistance program does provide what they call topical training sessions. We get 4 free per year. They're 1-hour sessions. They cover various topics from conflict management, supervision, team building. And we've also had the employee assistance program do some mediation for us for some issues that we've had within our departments. And I'm hoping that covered everything. If not, I'm open to questions.
We have any questions for Renee? Trying to look at both screens here. Hold on.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Bing.
I was going to ask Renee, has all the departments submitted their pay scale raises in to you yet?
We are presently working with DHRD to get that department done. And I believe that is one of the last departments that we're waiting on. So my instructions that were given to me was to have everything done by the 1st of the year. So we'll probably have to start checking next week to see where we're at with DHRD. So I know that's the last big department that's left.
Yeah, I've been questioned about a lot of employees not getting a pay raise and wanted to know if their pay scale been submitted to them yet and to you yet. And I told him, well, I said, why don't you call Renee and find out?
Yeah,
But,
I encourage them to call me.
But anyway, you know, it's just the issue of that a lot of these guys never got a pay increase, and they don't know whether or not they're you know there's been submitted to whether the pay scale or not. You know, so
Okay.
it's kind of hard to deal. It's kind of hard to talk to them because you don't know what to say to them. You know.
Yeah, I'd appreciate you forwarding any of those questions to me or my staff.
Okay,
So
I'll
that
continue to-
we can answer those questions to see if, you know, some of the information that came in from pay scale, the employee's already in between the minimum and the midpoint. So they would be staying at their same rate of pay. But we also have the merit increases back in effect now, where you can obtain a 8% merit increase if you score outstanding, and then a 5% merit increase if you score above standard. So they're not frozen in the aspect of merit increases, but they may be within that entry range for that position and not entitled to an increase. But the department should still let them know that.
Thank you, Renee. That's good to know because I've gotten questions as well, and people are saying that they haven't had their job descriptions updated in years. So
okay,
I'm sure that the department heads are aware of that. Maybe that's something we can bring up at the next department head and also talk about the merit increase if they weren't, you know.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mary Jane.
Quite a few years ago, but we were talking about merit increases reminded me of this. People who work 20 years or more of whatever different increments receive the Pendleton blanket, or they receive these little pins. And I don't think that's happening anymore. And I'm wondering what happened to that. People aren't working like they used to, or what?
No, there still are individuals that are entitled to those employee awards. We just don't do the awards at the quarterly meetings anymore. I've been doing my best to keep up on those. I get numerous calls from employees saying, I have 25, 30 years of service and haven't gotten anything. So I'm doing my best to get them caught up, but we are still doing the employee awards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know Lisa Shorts was talking about that on-base system. And when we get on that system, I'm hoping there's going to be a better way to track, because we've got over 1,200 employees and I'm trying to track service for every one of them. So it's a little too much for me to handle.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
and
it's
I
a lot.
was thinking about that because I worked at like 14 different jobs in the tribe during the time I worked. And I got one pin, the first one.
You got the 10-year pin?
And I never
Okay.
thought about it for a long time. Then after a while, I
Yeah.
thought, well, these people are getting rewarded for working for the tribes for so long, you know? And I
Yeah.
thought, well, I must have slipped through the cracks or something. But I never noticed like people being, you know, given a award for anything for that. But
Yeah, we need to get you caught up, Mary Jane, if that's the case. I'll have to look into that when I get back in the office tomorrow.
yeah, well, it's no big deal, you know, because I'm like, I'm 72 now, and I have, you know, it's like, just for younger people starting out, you know, it's nice to be recognized.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know, yeah. But I had another thing over. Is there someone talking after you? Is there
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I had this thought with everybody that's just got their new jobs and got new placements. And Lester Big Crane was just talking, and I'm wondering, because you said you didn't have any cultural aspects to your job. And the one thing I was wondering about was Lester was just talking about the land, because we were doing regulations and different things. And this isn't just addressed to you, so don't, you know, I just see your face there, so I don't know who else is listening. But he was talking about the land and how the land was our you know, was like the base of all our beliefs and our livelihoods and all our customs and all that. And then while I was watching people get up and talk just now, not get up and talk, but present themselves, And I was wondering how many are tribal members? And if not, where is their heart, because I was talking with another elder here a few weeks ago after we had a meeting and stuff, and don't get self-conscious, Thompson Smith, but we were talking about Thompson because he's worked with the tribes for so long. And I was thinking, well, he's worked with the tribes, and I was wondering, we were just talking, my friend and I says, I wonder, because he's Siapi, and I was wondering if he loves the tribes. And by that I meant, is he fully committed to them? Or is it just a job? And then we talked about it, and I thought, no, Thompson Smith loves the tribes and the people. He has put his whole heart and soul into his work. He has gone way past the requirement for his job. So it's like, what I'm wondering is why? I was like, sorry, I work at Head Start, but so what I was wondering, it's just a thought to put into the people's minds that are working for the tribes. We need you to have that dedication and that commitment, and to always hold it in your heart to have the best interest for the tribes and for the people at all times. People look at it as just a job, they can't see, they don't understand, or they don't want to accept the fact that it's tribal. They say, oh, it's tribal. I run into that a lot of times, like at tribal health with the dentist. They're some of one in particular, but doesn't seem to have its heart in it. It's like, you can tell when somebody's there and they really want to work for you. They want to help you. They want to assist you in whatever you want your goals to be and your accomplishments. And then there's the other ones that just like they're there, but they're not paying attention or something. But that was just a thought, for people working for the tribes that really think of where your heart's at. Because we want it to be in that really good place, as elders, I do, and I imagine the other elders do, really want their hearts and their minds to be in a good, clean space where they're just open to doing their best. That's all. I had to say that. It wasn't aimed at you or nothing, and I hope I didn't embarrass Thompson, but but that's just a thought in my mind when we're looking at these people that are at the top of so you might say the top of the tier, they're doing all this, they have a charge of everything, and it's just important to me. I pray for that. I pray that they have a good heart, and then they use everything they have for the tribes, That's all. I'm done. Sorry. I just had to express that.
I'm glad you did. There any other questions? Oh, Sadie, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, before I've got to take off, but before I left, I just wanted to, ask about that orientation and that cultural component to it. And like Mary Jane said, it is having all of our employees have them in a good place, and as well as have them be able to represent us well when they're out, meeting with other groups and other people, whether it be, local, state, national level, international level, that they have at least some basic concept of tribal history, the importance of our language and our culture. Those things are important so they can represent us well and speak well on behalf of us. I just feel like all of our positions, when we're out there doing that, we're not, speaking for ourselves in our own position. We're talking, we're representing our tribe as a whole. And so that cultural component is you know, that historical, that component of having history and culture and the importance of language is vital to have in that orientation, I feel like. We've done numerous orientations to, you know, a lot of outside groups the culture committee has. And we've done them more recently to NRD and a few other tribal departments, but it'd be great if it started there when they were newly hired, especially when we have people coming in that, you know, they're new to our reservation, they're new to our home. So I just wanted to share that. That was some of our conversation that we've had. And Renee, the other part, this is for you and council as well, to look at those department heads. You know, we did this, the pay scale was done for employees, but is it being done for our department heads as well? I know our department head, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but, you know, I don't believe his PD's been reclassified or rewritten for a number of years. So I just wanted to throw that out there, but thanks for your time and listening to me.
Thank you, Sadie. And I know when council first started looking at pay scale, that it was a couple years ago. And even in our budget meetings and when we talked to the directors, we were telling them to get ready, you know, and to look at those position descriptions and to try to get them updated. So hopefully we can talk again to the department heads, and if there are people who have been left behind here, maybe we can take another look or look at a different avenue to get them up that ladder. When you look at it, and it's very frustrating when you're making $12 an hour and barely making it. And I feel really sorry for people. And when you look around it, the world's starting to change around us, but people are now paying $15 an hour to flip burgers. So I think we need to take good care of our employees. So thank you, Sadie. Are there any other issues or
Question, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, James.
I was going to ask Renee a couple questions, just mostly for our kind of enlightenment generally. So we have approximately 1,200 employees with the tribes.
Yes.
About 1,200 employees. And what would you guess, or what do you know that the annual collective payroll is for all of those 1,200 employees?
Well, that would be a Ruth Swaney question.
Okay.
I don't know what the annual payroll is.
The reason I
No, we
asked
don't.
that, the reason I asked that is just to think about, you know, we think about of all the employees, and definitely we should be paying them, you know, appropriately and the like, but we need to realize in another realm that we have 1,200 employees. A lot of them are tribal members. Some of them are from other tribes, and some are non-members. Is that every one of those people that works for us has a family, has kids, has, you know, goes to the store, you know, on the res or off the res. And that's an economic impact upon the economy of our reservation. And, you know, I think back to the 90s when we were fighting with the Republicans in the state legislature. You know, we as a tribe boycotted the non-tribal businesses. And once we started speaking with our collective money, that's when things started to change in Helena particularly. And now we have a governor in Helena that is I don't like the guy. I'll just tell you point up front. I think we need to be concerned as a tribe that our country has, we had a president that was racist. There's no doubt about that. There's no question about that. We have a major party that has embraced, endorsed the illegal behavior of that president, that former president. You know, he ran a university, was convicted of fraud, all of those things. And the reason I say that is we need to be mindful of our economic impact because, you know, if the Republicans or anyone starts attacking us as people, we need to be mindful that collectively we have a lot of pull, not just economically, but culturally, spiritually, and all of those things together. But the Republican Party, through our history, the only time they listened to us was when we started speaking with our dollars and our money. And I hate to put it that way, but that's exactly how it happened in the 90s. And, you know, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this. The Republicans running the state and the Democrats are barely in charge of the government. States are overturning their election laws to disenfranchise people of color. And I would entirely expect this next legislature and the governor to be pushing more laws and rules to make it not easier for people of color to vote, basically make it more difficult. So I think we need to be not, you know, and these are battles we've dealt with for hundreds of years, but it seems like we've gone back 100 years with this federal government. And even though we got Biden in there, I mean, he's only can do so much. And he's not the savior of everything. We have to protect what we have like we always do, but be mindful that we have a big economic impact on this reservation. And those people that don't like us, they don't like Indians, they don't care what they don't care that we're Salish, Pend Oreille, or Kootenai, or Blackfeet. They just say those Indians. And I just want us all to be mindful and prayerful and don't take for granted what's going on in Allen and DC. It was pretty dang scary to me to see a president get elected that blatantly was racist, blatantly illegal. And he's still pushing the strings behind the scene with the Republican Party. So anyway, sorry for that little soapbox, but Lemlumsh.
Thank you, James. Okay. If nobody's got no other questions or comments, I think that ends what we had today, unless the elders have something else. And we've got one more issue to take care of in council before we adjourn. We appreciate you spending the afternoon with us, everyone. I hope that you're safe and healthy, and we'll visit with you again next month. You got something, Martin? Oh, okay. I thought he
I was just telling everyone goodbye and thank you guys. Appreciate always listening to you guys. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tribal Council, for listening to our concerns. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Council, if you can hang on, we've got one more issue before we adjourn. I'll give everybody an opportunity to. Okay, so one other issue, I'm going to go ahead and let Ellie take this so she can explain it. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I apologize to council for the late notice. I just received an email this afternoon. It's a request to submit a letter. Jen is going to share it on the screen to support the Earn It Act. It's a bipartisan federal legislation that's going to be reintroduced soon. It allows the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to improve the cyber tip line where child sexual abuse is reported. It replaces the term child pornography with child sexual abuse material in law. It makes interactive computer services liable for the child abuse, sexual abuse material on their platforms. And it creates an online child exploitation prevention commission. And just one of the shocking statistics they shared on one of their, on the National Center on Child Exploitation is that in 2008, there were over 600,000 images and videos of child sexual abuse material reported to NCMEC, which is the National Center on Missing and Exploited Children. And in 2019, it is over 70 million images that were reported. So it speaks to the importance of holding platforms responsible for content. And so the letter that they're asking us to sign is on your screen. And so I'm just seeking approval to have Chairwoman Fine sign that. I did run it by Rhonda. She approved it. Didn't see any issue. And again, the quickness is that is due tomorrow morning by 9 a.m. So I had to kind of squeeze it in today. So thank you for your allowing me to do that.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion to approve the letter for the chairwoman's signature. So Rhonda read through it and so did you.
Did you get a motion, Madam Chair?
Okay, motion by James to approve the letter.
Yeah, motion.
Do I have a second? Second by Martin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Just to comment, part of me wants to say we should send it, address it differently, but I think it's fine. Just we have seen some of those letters before, but it's fine.
Thank you, James. Okay. Well, unless anybody has anything else, that's the end of our agenda for the day. I thank everybody. And I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Martin?
Second.
Oh, Len made it? The line's gone, okay. All right, thank you. Have a great day. See you tomorrow for the court reorganization from 9